My cabin door flew open at 2 a.m. on a night so black even the moon didn't dare show up, and before I could blink, 3 armed men came crashing through yelling police, "Nobody move." My daughter Lily, just 7 years old, started sobbing as those men, those absolute fakes, aimed their guns at us, badges flashing just wrong enough that even half awake I knew something was off. That was the moment I realized the unthinkable. The HOA had sent fake cops to my lake cabin and they were here for my child. I guarantee you my neighbors watched the scene through their windows thinking they were witnessing some kind of real police action. These clowns barked orders, threatened federal charges, demanded I hand over my daughter, and honestly, for a second, I could see how they'd fool someone not used to this sort of nightmare. What they didn't know, what nobody in that room except me understood, was that they'd just made a deadly mistake, because they had no idea who I was. Let's back up a sec. My name's Marcus Kane, and until recently I was an FBI deputy director, now on medical leave after my wife Taylor died, leaving Lily and me a bit lost and sitting on an $80 million trust fund from her parents. Yeah, $80 million enough to turn almost anyone's brain sideways. So I took leave, bought a quiet lakeside cabin, and tried to help my daughter be a kid again while I kept my head down and my work history even further down. What I didn't see coming was Taylor's sister, Diana Queen Bee of our HOA. Every HOA stereotype cranked up to 11 and then some. This woman was the kind of person who'd measure your grass, call you out for a mailbox leaning 2 inches left, but this time it wasn't about lawns or mail, it was about that $80 million. When Diana got her hands on the estate settlement, I watched her face from my kitchen window, saw the exact moment greed swallowed up whatever soul she had left. Her hands shook, her eyes got big, and I knew something ugly was brewing. See, Diana was up to her neck in debt from a nasty divorce, maxed out. Cards, foreclosure on the horizon, the works. She looked at my little girl and saw a ticket out of jackpot and pigtails. She told herself and anyone who'd listen that she needed custody to protect Lily. Didn't matter that I was Lily's dad or that I was a decorated agent. She didn't know any of that yet, and she didn't care. She was desperate, and that made her dangerous. The campaign started slow. Diana documented every move I made, my suspicious comings and goings, which were just classified assignments, those strange cash deposits, my salary. But good luck explaining that to the nosy neighbor crowd and my refusal to gossip about my job. She painted me as some kind of threat, poisoning the neighbors' minds until I was the villain in their HOA soap opera. And you know how small-town grapevines work. People I'd wave at while walking Lily to the mailbox suddenly looked at us sideways. Diana, playing the concerned aunt, started holding unofficial meetings, fanning the flames. Why's Marcus so secretive? Why is he paying in cash? Why doesn't Lily come to block parties? She made herself out to be the hero, just protecting her sister's child. Folks ate it up because honestly nobody likes the quiet guy who skips the cookout. But here's the thing, I recognized a setup when I saw one. This wasn't regular HOA drama. This was targeted, systematic, calculated. So I did what any old Fed would do. I went to work. I dug into Diana's background, bankruptcy, looming meetings with custody lawyers, shady history, and plenty of desperation. I couldn't blow my cover or jeopardize an ongoing corruption investigation, so I decided to let her dig her own grave, documenting everything for the feds while baiting her with behavior that would look suspicious to an amateur sleuth. I was playing chess while she thought she was playing checkers. The day Diana called that emergency HOA board meeting, I watched the whole circus on my surveillance feeds. She presented her case against me, photos, time-stamped evidence, expert opinions about child development. The board bought her act, voted to spend $75,000 on professional child protection services, and Diana strutted out thinking she'd just secured her future. She didn't realize she'd just voted the board into a federal conspiracy. The next act, Diana hired Metro Security Solutions, a company with a name that sounded legit, but was really just a crew of ex-cons who'd impersonate police for a price. She handed them the HOA's fake authority like it was the real thing, authorizing full surveillance of my property, tracking every move, every dime I spent, every time Lily skipped a play date. To her, it was all in the name of child safety, but let's be real, it was about that money. She believed her own lies so completely she couldn't see she was authorizing federal crimes. When Diana filed her custody petition with the court, she had a mountain of evidence all built on surveillance and hearsay, plus the HOA's official support. I sat in court unable to explain who I really was, taking gut punches from a judge who saw me as an evasive, shady single dad. The judge granted Diana visitation rights. Lily was evaluated, I was audited, my home inspected, I had to comply or face contempt. Every day I saw Diana walk around the neighborhood smug as a cat in a dairy, telling anyone who'd listen she was the hero. She wasn't satisfied, though. She set up an official child safety committee, conscripted neighbors as witnesses, and built a legal pressure campaign. Meanwhile, I let her keep digging. With my old FBI contacts, I uncovered everything, her debts, her past schemes, the full scope of her manipulation. The next court hearing was brutal. Social workers painted Lily as withdrawn, blamed me for isolation, ignoring her trauma from losing her mom. The judge gave Diana more visitation and gave me 30 days to prove my employment or risk losing Lily for good. That night I sat in Lily's room staring at her as she slept, wondering how far Diana would go. The answer came fast. Diana convinced the board to approve emergency intervention, another $75,000 for child extraction if needed. She brought in Metro Security Solutions, this time to physically remove Lily if they decided she was in immediate danger. Diana told herself she was saving Lily, but she was just playing with matches on a powder keg. What she didn't know was that Metro Security was staffed by 3 convicts with long records, and their plan was to stage a police raid, complete with fake badges, uniforms, weapons, the works. I caught it all on tape, every conversation, every transaction. I had months of evidence stacked up, but Diana kept justifying it. She had to, otherwise she'd have to face what she'd become. The fake cops started patrolling the neighborhood, intimidating Lily, telling her daddy's in trouble, that she'd be taken somewhere safer. The day Lily came inside, tears streaming down her face, asking if I was a bad guy, I knew the game was over. I set my FBI back up in motion, secured Lily, prepped the cabin, and fed the fake cops bad intel about my schedule to lure them in when the feds were ready. The night they came, the storm raging outside, thunder booming, the whole thing like a Hollywood set. Those 3 clowns thought they were about to win. They broke in barking orders, shoving fake badges in my face. I played along, asking for credentials, watching them sweat. When they started threatening me, I flipped the script, showed them my real FBI badge, and you could see the blood drain from their faces. One muttered, "We're dead." Diana never told us he was FBI. I cuffed them, read them their rights, recorded every word of their confession. They spilled everything. Diana's plan, the payments, the whole criminal conspiracy. When the feds arrived, it was all over but the paperwork. 6 minutes after my call, those guys were off to federal holding, and I hugged Lily tighter than I ever had before. Diana's arrest at dawn was pure cinematic justice, FBI armored vehicles, national news, the whole neighborhood watching as the queen of the HOA was dragged out in cuffs, still claiming she was the hero. In court, her defense crumbled. Evidence overwhelmed everyone, recordings, bank transfers, confessions, board minutes, community testimonies. Even her own lawyers looked embarrassed. The jury saw what she'd done. The judge sentenced her to 25 years, no parole, $2 million in restitution, all her assets seized. The fake cops got 20 years each. The HOA board dissolved immediately. Everyone panicked, lawsuits flying, community reeling as they realized they'd been pawns. Diana tried running the prison like an HOA. Good luck with that. The inmates didn't care, and the guards just laughed. She'll spend the rest of her life as the punchline of her own cautionary tale, never understanding why her authority got her locked up. Me, I got promoted. Honorary community safety advisor, spokesperson for federal law enforcement families, the whole 9 yards. Lily healed thanks to real therapy and a loving community who finally woke up. At the end of it all, we sat at the lake watching the sun go down, Lily asking if she could be an FBI agent like me someday. I told her, "You can be anything, sweetheart. I'll always have your back." So here's my final thought. Never judge your neighbor by their lawn, their mailbox, or their secrets. Because you never know if the quiet dad down the road is the guy who'll bring down the whole house of cards. Authority without conscience is just tyranny in disguise, and sometimes karma needs a little push from the feds. Now I gotta ask, what would you have done in my shoes? Was Diana ever justified, or did she just get what was coming to her? Drop a comment, and let's see what you think about justice community and just how far is too far when it comes to power gone wrong.